You are about to sit the differentiated SAC for Year 11 Psychology, Unit 2, Area Study 1. Make sure for the next few slides that you're looking on with your instruction sheet so you'll know how the SAC is going to operate. In order to complete the SAC, you need to listen and watch the video. This means you can pause, rewind, and re-listen whenever you need. You can choose to verbally record your answers using a voice recorder provided, or you can write your answers in the booklet provided. You will be given 60 minutes to complete the SAC. During this time, you have 20 multiple choice questions to answer and then 10 short answer questions to answer. The first step of the SAC will now begin. Step 1. Multiple choice questions. Select one answer, expressing your voice loudly and clearly onto the voice recording or by circling in your booklet. Question 1. Which of the following is not an example of a visual illusion? Mulalaya, herring, the Wilson spiral, or Zollner? Question 2. In the process of transmission, sensory information gets sent to the brain via which structure? Thalamus, hypothalamus, hindbrain, or forebrain? Question 3. In which area of the eye does light initially enter? Pupil, lens, retina, or cornea? Question 4. Sam is walking down the street and notices a row of trees next to the road. These trees are close together and Sam recognises them as a group of trees rather than individual trees. To recognise this, Sam is using which of the following Gestalt principles? Figure ground organisation, similarity, proximity, or closure? Question 5. The slight difference in the location of visual images on the retinas that enables the judgment of depth or distance of an object refers to retinal disparity, convergence, accommodation, or linear perspective. Question 6. The automatic adjustment of the shape of the lens to focus on an object in response to changes in how far away the object is defined as pictorial cues, accommodation, convergence, or retinal disparity. Question 7. Sally is walking along a path. She notices that there are many different shaped cobblestones along the path. As she looks out into the distance, she cannot see these differences on the cobblestones. She assumes this is because those stones are further away and she will see them when she gets closer. This is an example of which monocular depth cue? Height in the visual field, texture gradient, relative size, or interposition. Question 8. Which of the following is not one of the 5 basic tastes? Sweet, salty, tangy, or umami? Question 9. Which of the following basic tastes is generally identified as undesirable or unpalatable? Sweet, bitter, umami, or tangy? A visual illusion is a consistent misinterpretation, distortion, or mistake of real sensory information, is something that is specifically designed to manipulate your emotions and thus your perception, requires eye movement to be observed, or creates a false image, therefore not demonstrating the perceptual principles. Question 11. 2 children are eating lollies that are the same brand and taste. One lolly looks brighter than the other. The child with the lighter lolly becomes upset because she thinks hers won't taste as sweet as the other. This is an example of colour intensity, texture, perceptual set, or an experiment conducted by Wheatley. Question 12. An example of synesthesia is seeing blue when you see the letter A, tasting strawberries when you hear the word housing, seeing green when you see the number 10, or all of the above. Question 13. The process of detecting and responding to incoming sensory information is transmission, transduction, reception, or interpretation. Question 14. Camouflage occurs in which visual perception principle? Closure, figure ground, similarity, or proximity? Question 15. Kyle picks up a book at his grandparents' house. He realizes that this is a magic eye book. After looking at the images, he realizes that there are two images combined, and one seems to jump out in 3D. The reason he can judge this depth is due to retinal disparity, convergence, accommodation, or Gestalt principle. Question 16. Two netball players are running for a ball. It's a tight contest and it's uncertain which player will reach the ball first. However, when viewing from a front-on position, it is clear that one player is covering the view of the other player. This means we assume that the person we can see is in front and will reach the ball first. This is an example of linear perspective, figure ground, interposition, or relative size. Question 17. Which of the following is a binocular depth cue? Relative size, height in the visual field, visual illusions, or convergence? Question 18. Charlotte is scared of bees and wasps. She was out for a picnic with her family and kept seeing multiple bees in the grass. However, the items in the grass were actually little flowers and she had just interpreted them as bees. In this scenario, what was the most likely to influence Charlotte's visual perception? Motivation, emotional state, past experience, or talking to her mothers about bees? Question 19. Timmy has never been overseas and has never eaten Chinese food. One day his friend brought some chopsticks to school. When he said, "Look what I've got, Timmy," Timmy had no idea what they were and said, "Are they pencils?" This is an example of what for the perceptual set? Context, culture, motivation, or shape constancy? Question 20. An explanation of an illusion in terms of misfiring neural impulses is likely to be based on the perspective: biological, psychological, social, or biopsychosocial. Congratulations, you finished the first step of the SAC, and now we're going to move on to step 2, which is short answer questions. So remember to record your answers loudly on the voice recorder or write on the lines provided in your booklet. Question 1. Define the following terms: sensation and perception. Question 2. Karen is looking out into the distance. She realizes that she is looking at a beautiful sunset. Explain the roles of transduction, transmission, and interpretation that allow Karen to recognize and observe this view. Question 3. Timmy has just been to see an optometrist, a doctor who specializes in eyesight. The optometrist has told Tim that he has myopia, which is nearsightedness. Explain what biologically causes this and what it means for Tim's eyesight. Question 4. Brandon sees a gun fired. In response to the perceptual set, explain how his perception may differ if he was in a war zone in comparison to being inside a shopping centre. Question 5. Jimmy is a child living in the remote areas of Africa. He has lived there for his whole life and has never left the country. Jimmy was shown the Muller-Lyer illusion. However, he was easily able to see that the horizontal lines were the same size and was not fooled by the illusion. Explain why this may occur with references to social and cultural influences on visual illusions. Question 6a. Label the following diagram. Question 6b. Select two of the above labelled structures on the diagram and explain their main role. Question 7. Mark has synesthesia. Whenever he looks at numbers, he sees them as having different colours. Explain what form of synesthesia Mark has, as well as the most generally accepted explanation for synesthesia occurrence. Question 8. The following images are examples of which Gestalt principles? Question 8c. Explain the main differences between the two previous Gestalt principles. Question 9. Amber is having a really bad day and feels sad because she just found out that she failed an important test. Amber goes to sit outside and looks up at the clouds. First she sees one that looks like the shape of a teardrop, then one that looks like a frowning mouth, and then another that looks like a broken heart. Explain why Amber might be seeing these pictures in the clouds. Question 10. Nicola is 2 years old and her grandmother is 65. The grandmother is making lunch for Nicola and uses a lot of salt in her cooking. When Nicola tastes the food, she screws her face up and tastes too much salt. However, her grandmother is fine. With reference to taste perception, explain why Nicola and her grandmother reacted differently to the food. Congratulations, you have now reached the end of the examination. Make sure you save your voice recordings and hand in your writing booklet. Well done.